Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson and Kyle Crawford, and we are bringing you another great show. Kyle, guess what? To this show, you are going to feel like an absolute wimp. Just a wimp.
Merle, I'm ready.
You aren't already a wimp, right?
I got my broad shoulders today. I'm ready for any abuse you throw at me. I'm ready.
I love it. Well, it's not going to be what I'm going to throw at you. We have a guest today.
All right.
Yes, and our guest today is a man of men. He is a former Navy diver, an MMA fighter, a triathlete, a college professor, a dad, and above all, a Christian. He's going to kick your butt all over the place.
Oh, I'm not worried about you anymore. You're secondary now. It's all about Will. I got my eyes on Will, right? I got to stay laser focused here, making sure he doesn't come and whoop me.
That's right. All right. So we'd like to welcome Will Peveler to the Strong Dad Show. Will, we want to thank you so much for joining us and just putting up with our antics here to get things started.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Will, you come to us basically kind of through a real roundabout way in terms of me connecting with you. Do you remember kind of how you and I first met?
Yeah, I was selling off some of my bikes, and you came because your son was looking for his first triathlon bike.
Yeah. So you were posting a bike, you were selling a tri bike, and my son is the one I mentioned before on the show. He's a guy who just like rolls out of bed and does amazing stuff, and the rest of us go like, you just did a full Ironman and you didn't even train, So he literally got excited about doing an Ironman. We went out, we purchased your bike, and he went into the Navy ROTC program. And so he kind of got distracted for a year or so. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, I'm going to do Ironman Louisville. And he actually had already signed up because it takes quite a while to get in there. And he used your bike, and with here's his statement on the way home, because he knew I would be mad at him if he told me this before. Dad, guess what? I did more miles today than I did in all my training combined.
Oh my God.
You are such a jerk. You're such a jerk. Yeah, but he ended up doing really well. He finished it strong, and he did it on your bike. So I thank you for his sake that he had a nice bike to do it on.
Well, Will, I'm sure after this show, you're going to wish you would have said, $50, $100, $200 more after you continue to get to know Merle and I. You're going to be like, man, I wish I would have doubled the price on the bike.
No idea what I was getting into.
Yeah. But we added some
he threw the bait out there and reeled you in on that, didn't he?
Yeah. We had some other connections though too. The triathlon bike, the tri bike was the thing that brought us there, but it quickly was noticeable, I think, to both of us that you're a Christian, you're strong in your faith, you have a Navy background. At the time I had I still do have two boys serving in the military. So we kind of connected in that realm. But there was something that really impressed me about you. And that was, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this today. And that was, you came out of a divorce. And it was a pretty tough situation. So I'll let you go where you want to go with that. But you had two boys. You had two young boys. And here you are trying to be a professor. And you were actually selling off some equipment because, one, you didn't have as much time to train as you used to do. But you needed some money to just kind of get your house in order with your priorities. And so I was just really impressed that you just were putting it together. You weren't going to be a victim by this. You were like, it is what it is, but I'm plowing forward. And so I was impressed with that. And you've always continued to stay in my mind as somebody who's trying to get it done the right way. So that's why I'm reaching out. And that's why you have been asked to be on Strong Dad. So I just want to thank you for the life pattern that you're walking.
Thank you.
All right. So Kyle, we better thank a few people and then let's get into some talk.
I like it. For sure. Strong Dads, we would love to thank Crimer's Beer House for coming alongside of us. Crimer's Beer House down on Route 128. They got a really cool setting. Go down there, check them out. Let them know that we sent you down there. We'd love the support that they're giving us, and we appreciate if you guys go down there and support them.
All right, great. We also want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions. Casey's works in landscaping and hardscaping work for all of your needs, whether it's commercial or residential. Give Casey's a call, located outside of Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Do incredible work. Casey's just a workhorse of a guy, so he can do anything, especially his hardscapes are just amazing. So check that out. And we just want to thank Case for helping us. All right, so Will, give us just a little picture of who you are, okay? Like what you're currently doing, some of your path, your upbringing and stuff, and we'll go from there. How about that?
Okay. Originally, I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky. Decided I was going to be a Navy diver, joined the military. Had no idea what I was getting into because the recruiter was kind of like, yeah, anybody can do it. Just go, just sign and go. And I'm like, okay. You
Cool.
know,
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, I'm in. I had no idea that even to get accepted into the program was a minimal chance, much less making it through the program. After 4 years, I got out, got my undergrad and master's at Western Kentucky University. Got an undergrad in mass communication with a minor in music and a minor in exercise science, which led to my master's in exercise science.
Wow.
And during that time, I had a little trouble adjusting to civilian life. So I ended up going into the Army as a diver and became a drill sergeant with the 100th Division and did that in reserves as I was going through college.
Okay.
Then I got a graduate assistantship at University of Alabama to get my PhD. And so I was there teaching classes, doing research, running a bike shop, and that's when I met my first wife and got married right as I was finishing my PhD.
Okay.
And as far as sports, I've been involved in sports forever. Played football, pole vaulted in high school, played rugby at Western Kentucky University, started racing mountain bikes and road bikes, triathlon, running. Been in martial arts almost all my life, multiple belts and multiple different disciplines. And currently about to test for my black belt. And well, actually, they don't really so Muay Thai doesn't traditionally have belts. We Americanized it where I'm at just to kind of give people goals. And so about to test for my black belt there where I actually coach MMA there as well. And I've taught at multiple universities. Where I met you, I was at Northern Kentucky University. I was the program director, tenured, and got a call from Liberty and got recruited. And, they were like, I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And they're like, you want to come, visit? And I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely want to visit, but I'm in.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at now.
What was so attractive about Liberty that you would just be willing to jump to that?
Christian University.
Okay.
Just not to speak ill of places I've taught at before, but just I was looking for a more Christian environment, selfishly for me.
Yeah.
Because you can do God's work anywhere. And so it was, I really thought about this, and I really didn't think about it until after I was there. When I really started thinking about it, I realized this decision wasn't for the students. It was for me, because I wanted to be in a Christian environment and work in a Christian environment and grow as a Christian.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you've been there for how many years?
This ended my 4th year. My 5th year starts this August.
Okay. And how are you liking it?
I love it. I stay out of all the political stuff, and just it doesn't. None of that stuff affects what we do on our level. I've got one of the best departments I've ever worked with. Amazing Christians. Our students are amazing. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you do any research there? Are you just a teaching professor, or how does your work line out?
Okay, so there it's a teaching university, but we do research as well. So there's no push for research. I'm currently working, I don't know if you're familiar with Hayabusa Fightwear, but I'm actually doing research with them on glove design.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we're actually X-raying the fist within the glove and looking at thumb position and how to alter that to prevent injury to the thumb.
Oh,
So
that's pretty cool.
things I'm
Yeah.
working with right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so as we, obviously here at Strong Dads, we kind of back that up a little bit of your story. And I'm not sure when the Liberty kind of came into the picture, where that puts you at in your lifespan, as far as where you're at in your life. So you had said, you had gotten married, correct? And
Yes.
to your first wife. So can we kind of back up your story a little bit? Again, not knowing exactly where we're at with you currently working at Liberty, kind of backing it up to the marriage and the kids thing. To kind of dive into that realm a little bit, if you're okay with that.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. So a little bit about my backstory to keep it. So trying to figure out where to start. I got so many things going in my head right now. It's like,
Yeah,
where do I actually start? So my first wife, we got married. We had our first child, Grayson, and I thought I knew what it would be like to have a child. I'm like, oh, this, I thought I knew.
Mhm.
But until you have your first child, you don't get it. It's like, think you know what it's like to be a parent.
Yeah.
I have nieces, I have nephews. And so I thought I knew, but like I never realized how selfish I was until I had a child
Mm.
and realized that I didn't like who I was.
Mhm.
That I, that it gladly made changes because it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It changed me as a person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of bring up something that I went through. I was a 10%er triathlete. So my goal was always try to be in the top 10%, but I was never the 1, 2, or 3% person. I just was never that talented and that sort of thing. But man, before we had kids, I was dumping a lot of time into training and travel and equipment and all of that. And when we had our first son, I remember just starting to get this conviction of really like how, you didn't even check on how mom and the baby were doing this morning. You just went out for your run, or you just went out and did this, or you just already planned a weekend. And I honestly, I'm not trying to convict any other man. Everybody has to go through that. But I started just feeling like, what am I doing this for? This is all about me. And so it was a little bit, and that's like, I still do personal training and work in the gym, but part of my deal is I want to pull dads aside who are spending too much time in the gym. Like, hey, buddy, do you have a family that you need to deal with? You're not going to go to the Olympics anytime soon, even though you're working your tail off here. What was the time investment? And so I got exactly what you're saying. Like, man, I was just wired very selfishly.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are. I think that it's, for lack of better terms, human nature,
Right.
to be looking towards oneself often. And even then, I just made that statement. But until I became a single father, I even didn't truly understand that I was still kind of doing that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when my ex-wife, she had a literal mental break. Everybody says her ex is crazy, but she had a literal mental break and became a non-functioning alcoholic, drinking herself into the ICU level alcoholic on a regular basis. I would have to, and so I was pretty much raising the kids on my own well before the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
When I had to go speak at conferences, I had to have one of my family members come stay so that I know the kids were good. And then I'm stressed because, I'm out here doing what I had to do, but I'm stressed because I'm not at home with the boys. And yeah, my mom was there. But that's still, I'm not there.
Right.
And it made me start second guessing, do I really need to speak at 10 conferences a year? Do I really need to do this much research? Do I, and then the divorce came and drove that even more home, because I remember sitting there thinking, I can fail at everything else in life. I can't fail at being a dad.
And I heard you say that statement one other time. And when you said that, I was like, man, that's just that. That's a separation and understanding of priority right there. Like, I can fail at everything else, but I can't fail at that. And that's a huge point. So you divorced your wife. The alcoholism was consuming her and not really allowing her to function as a wife or mom. Right. So how old were the boys when all that was going down and you actually divorced?
They were pretty devastated. And I think one of my failures, one of my many failures as a father, was that I was so afraid of how the boys would take it, that we were legally separated. I let her still live there because I was afraid of letting them know what was going on. And even after the divorce, she didn't have a place to go. I let her stay there. And part of it was selfish. I was afraid of how the boys would take it.
Sure.
She was barely hanging on to being sober, and then it was too much, and finally kicked her out, to be honest.
Yeah.
So she moved into apartments that were like 400 meters from where we lived. And that's an exaggeration. They're probably about 1,000 meters, but you can see the apartments from where we lived.
Right.
And she wouldn't come see them. And that's also one of those things I was afraid of happening. And for a 3-year period, then maybe saw her once, twice a year.
Yeah. Were they talking?
I want to back up. When you were talking about you this desire and this mindset that you have that the one thing in life you don't want to fail is being a dad to your sons. Like, where did that stem from? What was the thought behind that? Was there things that happened in your life that led you to have that mindset? Because, part of the reason why we started Strong Dads here, Merle and I, is because we saw a lot of dads that didn't have that mindset and don't have that mindset. So I'm just like, where did that stem from? Is that experience that you had in your life? Was it your dad that kind of the experience that brought you to that mindset?
That's a whole other can of worms. So, wow. I don't really talk about this much.
And if you're not comfortable talking about it, that's a bold statement. That's a bold statement to make.
Yeah, I'm going to do a brief part of it.
Sure.
So growing up, my dad was my hero. My dad was the best man in my first wedding. At the same time I was getting a divorce, my father did something that was, it's forgiveness between him and God. For me, not so much. And so my kids cannot be around him. And so when that occurred, I pretty much lost my father. And have not spoken to him since. And this has been back when I met you. This was going through the divorce.
Yeah.
Well, my mother accepted him back in the house, and so this was also hard for the boys because we spent almost every holiday with my family because Holly was kind of estranged from my ex-wife, was estranged from her family. And then when my mom accepted him back into the house, still didn't want the boys around. And it became this thing to where I was the bad guy because I didn't want my kids in that mess.
Yeah.
All right. I did not want my kids involved in any of that. And so I kind of became the black sheep of the family because I couldn't just overlook something that was extremely bad.
Yeah.
And so I just, so that one's kind of like, so it was kind of, it was, it's kind of hard to explain because the the person he was to me doesn't exist anymore. Um, but I got a lot of my family values from that man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously there was some huge pain and hurt and destruction there. But one of the things that, I'm seeing coming out just in the conversation here is you jumped into protection mode because, right now you're trying to protect the best image of family that you have and moving it forward for the family that you now are responsible for. So I can greatly appreciate that. Like, all of our parents do things that can cause the wound, right? I mean, John Eldredge writes a whole book on Wild at Heart about the father's wound. And so what I say this all the time, like, I don't even know how often I've wounded my kids, and again, they might be scratches, they might be a poke, but we say things, we do things. And, I think probably part of what you work through there is, okay, so I have an opportunity here to acknowledge what's happened, but then to move through it. And so like in my family situation, my dad went out and had an affair on my mom after 35 years of marriage. Well, I mean, we were just ready to blow him up, and I made a conscious decision at that point that, and he was a great dad, just like kind of you're describing, like, man, we had so much fun with him, and we still do. There's been healing and forgiveness on our side of it, but the idea is now, again, that's another seed of why Strong Dads is going today, because I took it and said, that's not what I want to do. In other words, I'm going to protect from that happening. And so, I would probably look at what you're doing and saying is, you're doubling down on making sure these things aren't going to happen, and you're going to protect your kids and give them the tools to work through that. So somewhere in all this weird thing, there's goodness, of like, hey, you're going to even be better, and your kids are going to know why you're better. So.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned that I think is important to understand as a father is you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
Not to the extent my dad did, but you're going to mess up. There's things that, like for example, I regret yelling at my kids because that's the way I grew up, and then I remember just yelling at my son because he was refusing to do what I asked him to do. Just wait. And I left that room and realized that's not the dad I want to be. He doesn't even remember the situation. I do. And I've talked to him about it and explained to him that, that's not that was one of my, failures as a father, is to not think things through, not realize. And so we have conversation. Doesn't mean they don't get grounded, doesn't mean they don't get in trouble.
Right.
But that's not the way that I feel that I should have been handling that situation, and didn't like the father I was being. When I sit there and stopped after that incident where I walked out of the room and just really did not like myself at that point.
Yeah. Man, that's a great point about us just being in tune with how we are being a father, how we're parenting, and us being in tune with that. Because I'm familiar with just working with men and wounds, most of the men that come into me all have a history, a story, and a lot of it's not good, right? By the time guys are coming to me, something's blown up. And so the idea that they are in tune with what the wound is and now how they're going to heal it. Okay, like actively heal it. And so one of the things that is, you're talking like this and you did this, like, this is cool. The idea that you bring it back around to your kid. You could very well just go, well, I hope they don't remember it, and just never bring it up again. But I mean, I've actively, especially with my older boys now, when we get together and we're drinking a beer or whatever and just kind of chilling out, I'm like, okay, guys, so tell me something I did that it has always sat in your craw. It hurt you or bothered you. And sometimes they tell me stuff that I like, either I didn't remember or I'm not proud of. And, right there, like, it's not time for me to make an excuse. It's time for me to go, wow, I do kind of remember that. And here you are, you're 30 years old and you still remember it. And it's not a good memory. So I can help apologize and let them know. And I think that's an opportunity for us as dads to come back and not allow the wound to continue to fester.
Yeah. Well, another example is I wouldn't listen to him sometimes. Just flat out. I don't remember exactly what it was about, but Grayson was in trouble and he kept telling me he didn't do it, and I wouldn't listen to him. And come to find out, it was Garrett. And I sit there, and again, it was another learning moment for me, in that, I wasn't even listening to what he had to say. I already, because the situation was, it would be hard pressed that it would have been his brother, but it was. And so had I stopped and listened to him, instead of saying, no, this is the way it is because I'm dad, then things could have gone different. And so I told him I messed up. And I said, and I called his brother, and then we said and talked. I said, we're going to try something. I said, this is what we're going to do. If you feel I'm not listening to you, tell me. Say, hey, Dad, could I please say something? Could I, you're not really hearing what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And we take that over into, like, if they want to do something as well. And, instead of saying no because Dad said so, I will listen to them. At the end of that conversation, sometimes it's still no because Dad said so. Right. But I at least give them a voice and listen to what they have to say. But there are times where I'm kind of like, you're going in circles here. You're not getting any new information. Now, if you come up with new information, we can open this discussion again. But right now, we're done talking about it. Right. But opening that door to where, instead of me saying nope, I can listen. And and that's, it's helped me, grow as a parent, and helped us communicate better.
Yeah. Well, so they feel like when they have to, or they need to, that you are approachable. If in their mind, they've already got your answer in their head as to what you're going to say. Oh, no, I know he's going to say no. Then why even bring it up to him? But if there's that chance, we do talk a lot about that. Like, I always talk about, I never negotiate with my kids until I trust their value system. Mm-hmm. Right. And so when I start to trust their value system, like they're valuing the bigger picture or the family or doing the right thing, then we can get in, and I want to really entertain that. But if I'm reading through this and I'm seeing, oh no, they're arguing only for their little dying butt, then it's like, no, we're gonna not negotiate on that one. That's a good point.
Well, the thing about it is also there's things that just aren't going to happen. They're not ready for this step in life yet. They're not ready to do this, whatever it happens to be at that point in time. Right. Like, one of the arguments is I was always strict on what movies they could or couldn't watch, depending on the content. Right. Until they were older and could handle that content better. And so sometimes there's just, I'm open to the discussion, but it's not really going to change. You're not watching Die Hard.
Right.
At 10 years old.
Right. Yeah, because you have to protect the values of the family, and they don't understand that yet. Yeah. So,
Hey, Will, I want to, and I hope you're okay with me bringing this up. Before we recorded, you had made a statement, and I was just kind of just as we pushed to play, we're recording now. I started to think about it. You had made a statement that you started to get a little frustrated when people were like, "You're going to try and raise 2 kids. You're going to be a single dad," and it kind of frustrated you because, like, you obviously, as you well stated, like that's your role, right? You're not going to fail in that. And I started thinking about times when I was, I'll be out, whatever, at the grocery store, and I'll have both my girls with me, and someone will say, "Wow, you got your hands full." And I started to get frustrated with that. And as you made that statement that you just said, and then I think back of those times when someone made a comment like that to me, I started to realize it's because we're in the minority when it comes to that, right? Like, there's not a whole lot of dads that are stepping up and actually playing the role of a dad and doing the things they're supposed to. And so when someone sees a dad with 2 kids out or sees a single dad, like those are not normal things that people are seeing, and it's frustrating for me. And that's again part of the reason why we started Strong Dads, is because we are in the minority in that, and it's frustrating that is the case, and it's frustrating that people see a dad doing what a dad's supposed to do, and it's not a normal behavior. And so when you had said that statement of being frustrated about people saying, well, you're gonna try and raise 2 boys by yourself, and it's like, well, yeah, that's my job, right? I mean, again, I don't want to speak for you, but that's kind of what I was hearing.
Yeah, no, it's true, because people are like, how do you manage it? How do you do it? I'm like, what do you mean? How do I manage that, dude? They're my kids. It's like, and I would get frustrated, but then I realized they just don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand. It's like, I never look at the kids as, like when people are like, oh, I can't wait for the kids to get out of the house. I'm looking at them like they're crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? I dread the day my kids leave my house. It's like, I don't understand that. I don't understand that mindset. Or like when, like, oh, I got to babysit the kids. I'm like, they're your kids.
You're right.
You mean you got to babysit the kids? They're your kids.
Right.
You're not babysitting your kids. You're spending quality time with them. You're raising them. You're teaching them things. Is just, I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, you get to watch your kids. Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit I've said that once or twice. I'll be the first to say, like, oh, I gotta watch the kids today, and my wife's like, no, babe, they're your kids. It's kind of like your responsibility. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that just speaks to, I can go down that road when my mind is set on something that I want to do. That's that selfish nature that you referred to, Will, that like, my head's all spun up on something that I'm interested in that day. And now all of a sudden, oh, that's right, I forgot, I got to take care of the kids. And so it's this constantly repositioning, like, oh, no, kids over what I want to do.
And there's exceptions to this rule, but the way I explain it is that was the first thing I would say there's not exceptions to. My priorities are God, family, work, and there's some things between family and work, which typically deal with family. But the thing about it is, I have boxes. All right, you got one big box. That's your time of the week. That whole box is your weekly time. A lot of that's spent sleeping because you got to sleep. So the rest of those boxes are, you got to have a good, strong family box. All right. I also, for my parties, I have to have a workout box, and I have to have a work box. And I don't allow the work box or the workout box to push over the family box and make that smaller. And it takes some timing. Sometimes it means a lot of times it means I'm up at 4:30. Right, because nobody else is up at 4:30. I can get my workout in. I can get to work, and then I get to work early. I'll leave work early. So I'm blessed in that I got a job I can do that. I get to work at like 6:30. I'll leave at 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And family time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good point. Well, I want a couple of different things that as we kind of talk about, the different ways that we approach being a dad and a husband, all that, and what we can give to our strong dads. Okay. So you're 50 years old. You've been in the Navy as a diver. You've done lots of challenging things. You're an author now and professor. looking back at your younger self and looking at the younger men that you see, especially coming up through the college setting, you see these students that are soon their next stage might very well be fatherhood.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give yourself? What advice would you give these young men coming up?
This is one of the things I wish I would have learned much earlier in life. Be coachable.
Mm.
Be coachable. Understand that you are wrong a lot. Understand right and wrong is sometimes perspective.
Yeah.
And conversations can often, true conversations where you're listening and not just talking, can alleviate a lot of issues. And don't be so stubborn thinking you're right all the time. That was me. Because I was so driven, and but it's like, and I wish I would have been more coachable. I wish that I would understand that concept more, and I wish that I was a better father. And I can promise you, 5 years from now, I wish I was a better father if I look back on the day.
Yeah.
And so that, overall, I wish that I had been a better father. Because there's so many things I look back, I could have done better, this and that. But there's not a book that says, hey, this, and this. And you make mistakes, own those mistakes.
Own it. Yeah.
Man, we that idea you're talking about, Will, about being coachable, we talk about all the time on this show, and the importance of it, and just that growth as a man, as a strong dad. Last night in my small group, we were diving into Corinthians, and part of what we were talking about is when Peter spoke truth to the church, and how crazy it is to think about it now. Like when someone speaks truth to someone, we're so quick to say, no, that's not me. And if we rewind back to in the book of Corinthians, like Peter spoke truth to the church, and the church was perceptive, like they received it, and they were like, all right, yeah, we do have to make changes. And I really do think that that's something that's missing in our society with men, with families, is just like you're saying, man, we have to be coachable, because people may have experiences. They may have experienced things that they're telling us, hey, when you get to this point in your life, this is what you can expect to happen. And if we're not willing to receive that and receive, the advice or the message, man, we're missing out on some good stuff. Like obviously you and Merle, not knocking you guys, you're a little bit older than me, right? And if I were to totally tune you off and say, you guys have no idea what it's like to be 33-year-old dad of 2 kids, like I'd be missing good, counsel from you two that, man, I mean, I just think in today's society and as men, we need to like wake up and realize that we don't have everything in order. We have to be willing to take advice from people who have been there, who have done that, who have experienced things. Just like you were saying, in 5 years from now, you're going to say, man, I wish I would have done this different. Man, that's good stuff that needs to be passed along to guys like me that I'm going through that. I have 2 young girls right now. I'm trying to figure out the heck how to be a dad of 2 girls, right? And if I were to tune people off that have been there before, man, I'm going to miss good counsel, good advice.
Yeah.
Well, looking back on the 3 to 4 years where it was just with just me, Grayson, and Garrett, is like there was some tough times. The boys were going through a lot, so I don't want to diminish any of that, and they still struggle with some of that. But it's also some of the best times we've had. Just the 3 of us hanging out. It was some really good times. And when things are bad, sometimes we have a tendency to just focus on the bad instead of looking at what is good as well. Because it's like you can sit there and be like, God, why this, why this, why this, why this. And you're going to have times in your life where it's like that, but at the same time, stop and thank God for the things that are good, because even in those bad times, things were good, and I feel blessed. I lost lost my wife, my family, blew my knee the first time. Wasn't just everything changed. So not saying that, it was definitely rough, especially the worst part of me was seeing the boys, what I did to the boys. That about just took my legs out from under me every single time. More so than anything else, because you can't fix it, you can't make it right. That was the hardest thing. I mean, not being able to make it right for me.
Yeah. Well, it kind of gets me into kind of the next idea here is, we've talked a little bit about faith and God, but what is it about your faith? Why does a man need faith? Why does a man need God? Were you raised in that belief, or
Yes.
did you? Okay. So what is kind of some information and some insight that you would share as to why and the benefit of having faith?
If you don't have faith, what do you have? It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me to put that in words. It's like, to me, if I don't have faith, what do I have? It's like, God made us. God, created us, and we are God's children. And it's always hard for me to explain, because I've always felt this way since I was a kid. There was no moment where I switched my life around. For me, it's always been that belief in God. It's always been there. I've always fallen back on that. And so to me, it's hard to understand how you don't have faith. And so it's kind of hard for me to answer that question. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Something that I've been living with, because it's not the first time I've been asked that question. I've been asked similar questions a lot, and I struggle to answer, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because I don't have a good answer.
Right. Yeah. So, but, I'm sitting there thinking of times, like you had already mentioned, the time with your dad, the incident with your dad, the divorce, the breakdown of your body, all of these different things. What kept you from trashing your understanding of God? Now, there must not be a God, because none of this stuff would happen. I think of this situation with your dad, like what a flip flop that is in life. You're almost, you were duped by your dad all these years, and I didn't get it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm also a little ADHD, so sometimes I have trouble controlling.
You're good.
It's like, just stop.
You're sitting with two other guys that are ADHD, so you're.
It's like, stop talking, don't say nothing, listen, stop talking. I had those conversations with myself a lot, where I'm like, I want to say it. I'm like, no, stop, shut up and listen. Shut up and listen. And I struggle with that sometimes. But also, part of my faith is also part of the way I see things. And maybe I'm a little crazy, but we had it good. We messed up. We got thrown out of the garden.
Right.
All right. Life is a challenge. It's not meant to be easy. All right. I don't believe that, trust me, I pray for, things to be well. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of times I pray just that it works out the way God wants it to work out. And I believe that life is, at this point after the garden, is not meant to be easy. I believe that we're all going to run into challenges. There's people with challenges 10 times worse than what I've gone through, and they still have faith, and they're still putting one foot in front of the other. And it's that faith that allows you to put one foot in front of the other. I don't know how I would keep putting one foot in front of the other if I didn't have faith. And so, these challenges, it's like, a lot of times people expect, pray to God and God's gonna come down, pick them up and set them outside of this. But it's the challenges that build us.
Right.
It's these challenges. Now, I wouldn't wish these challenges on anyone.
Right.
So I'm not saying that either. Every single individual walking the face of this earth has their own challenges. And you can't compare my challenges to someone else's challenges to mine. But we all have our own challenges. It's that faith that allows me to just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving forward. Because I have that faith. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg thing.
Right.
It's like it's because of my faith that I can keep moving forward. And I don't think I've always, I've questioned, I've questioned things, but I've never really questioned if God exists or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes I question how we see things, interpret things, like predestination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people ask me that, we'll get in the conversation. I'm kind of like, look, I'm not smart enough to figure it out.
Right. Right.
It's like, for the way I kind of look at it, it's kind of both, because God knows everything.
Right.
And so it may not be that he predesignated, he created us. He's already seen what's happening.
Right.
Or is it, so I'm like, I'm not, same thing with the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. When people ask me to explain that, I'm like, I'm out.
Right.
I know it is.
Right.
I know it is, but I'm out. Can't explain it.
Yeah. Well, there's we get into a lot of theology with all that, and there's so much to it. And I think the idea here is us being humbled to say, I don't know all these answers, but I do believe that I am created by him and I'm here to serve him. Mm-hmm. and to continue to be refined in that way. The idea that I don't abandon my connection to God because I'm not getting what I want, and that he does see the bigger picture. He's purifying me. He's working me through it. Through every challenge, it is my choice to whether I come out as a better man on the other side of the challenge or a worse in terms of my character in the eyes of God. And so, these are the things we constantly work on. So you're remarried.
Yes, I am.
All right. Mm-hmm. So my question for you now is, how has all of this impacted walking into a second relationship to the point of marriage?
All right. So the biggest worry for me about getting remarried was the boys. Would the boys be okay? Mm-hmm. Are the boys going to be okay? And so when we remarried, I was raising my boys 100% of my own. Like me, Grace, and Garrett, we had specific ways we do things.
Yeah.
Renee was pretty much raising LJ and Will 100% on her own. Her ex-husband chose to be, he's a pilot and chose to be stationed separate from where the family was living. Mm-hmm. It was a choice of his. He could have been stationed there, wherever he was living. He chose not to, and they grew apart from that. And so she was pretty much raising the boys on her own. So we went from a household of 3 and a household of 3 to a household of 6. And we have different rules. Like she comes in, she's like, "You guys, what do you think you're doing?" And comes in there and like they're all wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's all 5 of us wrestling, and she's coming in and yelling at us for making too much noise. We shouldn't be doing that in the house. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right. It's what we do.
What we do.
Yeah.
Or like I'm pushing the cart and got all 4 of the boys on the cart and are all hanging on the sides, and she's like, looks back and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shopping." I'm pushing a cart.
Right.
So it has been, that's the main thing we argued about. Our marriage was strained for a long time because of differences on how we raise and used to doing things specific ways. She's very OCD, literally, and very like clean. I'm neat. I'm clean, but I'm not neat. Mm-hmm. It's like I have a stack of stuff everywhere, but I can tell you what's in that stack, and I go, but it's not dusty.
Right.
Shit, I don't mow the yard anymore. Let me tell you why I don't mow the yard anymore. I mow the yard on the weekend. I mow the yard every Saturday. I mow the yard. That's what I do.
Right.
Saturdays I mow the yard. So Renee has to have the yard mowed 3 days a week. I'm like, I'm not mowing it 3 days a week.
No.
And so it comes, so she's like, fine, I'll get the other two. I'm like, okay. But then it comes Saturday, I can't see where I'm mowing. It's like, there's no line to follow. I'm sitting there trying to follow a line. There's not a line. I'm like, I'm not mowing it. and so I don't mow the yard anymore.
Right.
And so it's, she's an amazing woman. She keeps me, she is so scheduled. Her schedule has a schedule.
Right.
And I'm so like by the seat of my pants. It's not even funny. And so it's kind of, it's been, I am blessed to have her in my life and that she puts up with me.
Yeah.
But honestly, a blended family, especially the way we are, where it's 24/7. It's not half the time here, half the time there.
Right.
It's tough, guys. It's our biggest fights have been over parenting.
Right.
Not over money, not over this or that. It's our biggest fights are on parenting.
Right.
And so that's also one of those times where I've learned to be more coachable.
Well, I was just going to go there. That's exactly, I mean, not just you more coachable, but that's, God calls us all to be coachable. Another word for coachable is humble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when we work with couples that are dealing just the same things that you guys are, you know, we have to arrive at a common foundation that we're going to build off of, that we both agree on the foundation. Yeah. And then how we go about it, then that's when we start to get in our own little personalities, and then we have to bend and flex. Otherwise, our righteousness, our self-righteousness starts to, well, I'm sorry, but this is how I do it, and I'm not going to budge. Well, okay, no, wait, that's now about you. You know, that's not about the marriage. So that's kind of what I was getting to. Like, now you're into this marriage, a second marriage with a beautiful woman. She also comes in with a big heart for her kids, and now yours. And so, you know, proceeding through that, because the last thing you want is another wreckage situation, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, one of the things, and I think you touched on it, is like we have the same desires and foundations. It's how we go about it, the difference in how we go about it, you know, become the problem that we have, and sometimes. Both paths are equal,
right?
It's like there's more than one way to do things, and if it doesn't really change anything,
yeah,
why argue? You know, save those arguments for where it does push a boundary,
right?
You know, for example, she grew up in an Italian family. Her and her father, up until he passed away last year, but they still argued. You would think they wouldn't like each other sometimes. Right. And they're like, and then they're both like, what are you talking about? We're just and
we're talking.
We're just talking. And that's another thing that her and I had problems with as well, because she would come at me like that. And I'm like, if somebody comes out where I'm from, you come at me like that, it means you're ready to fight. It's like, so I'm kind of like, she's like, can you go from here to here? And I'm like, because you know what I mean? I'm not yelling. And she was serious. She's like, I'm not yelling. I'm like, the volume's here. You're angry. She's like, that's just talking. So we had the funniest part is like we both had an eye, like we both realized something at the same time. Yeah. And so she worked on changing. I worked on not being in her. We're so sensitive.
Yeah. You sissy.
So, you know, and so just that communication and understanding, like when I realized that she truly was not yelling at me, she realized that I thought she was truly yelling at me, then that changed things. It changed the conversation, because I'm all like calm and relaxed, but when somebody's like, and I'm like, then all of a sudden I go from here to here.
Right.
But from her perspective, she's like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's just that communication. And you know, one of my problems is I'm stubborn. That's one of my issues is I can be stubborn. And sometimes it's hard to determine whether I need to stand by this or I'm being an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to separate that. Is it righteous stubborn or is it self-righteous stubborn? Yeah. And usually I err on the self-righteous stubborn. And it's like, no, there's righteous stubborn. Yeah, we need to fight for what is right, but not necessarily self-righteous stubbornness.
Yeah.
And I found that sometimes the stuff that we're stubborn about doesn't matter.
Most of the time. Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, we did not even talk about the books you've been writing.
Oh, I'm okay with that. This is what I'm excited about.
That's cool. Yeah. So, well, I do want to put in a quick plug.
Okay.
You've been doing some hammer time on some books, some training books. So you wrote a book on MMA fighting, training for MMA fighting. Is that right?
Yeah. So in the past, previously I published a book on cycling with McGraw-Hill, training for cycling.
Okay.
Race cycling, a coach cycling for at Western Kentucky University. And also keep in mind, guys, it's like I'm old. I'm like, I've been around for a bit. Because a lot of times people are like, how did you do? Well, I'm old.
Yeah.
Little ADHD, and I only know one way.
Hard drive. Yeah.
Hard drive. So a lot of times when people first meet me, they're like, is he full of it? Then they get to know me and they find out that I'm not. But so I wrote a book on cycling, and that's about 10 or 11 years old. And then I wrote a book on training for triathlon. And then I took a break because of the divorce. And like I was telling you guys earlier, I was spending too much time going to conferences, writing books, doing research, getting grants. And I put all that aside for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I published a book for a while, and finally decided to publish. I wanted to publish strength conditioning books for MMA. And I've, contacted some people and get a lot of no's before you get yes,
Sure, yeah.
And people give up too soon.
Mm.
And that's another thing. So I think people, when they quit after the first attempt.
Yeah.
On a lot of things, and you can't do that. I got so many no's. I got no's from smaller companies. I called McGraw-Hill and got a yes on my first book. Which I was running out of people to call, right. And I'm like, I'm gonna start calling the big people because I didn't think the big people would be interested. So right. I called McGraw-Hill, and I got the guy accidentally answered his phone. He was expecting a phone call. That's how I got my first book contract. Is the guy was expecting a different phone call because he's the main acquisition editor. They don't answer their phones.
Right.
He answered his phone.
That's crazy.
But anyway. So my mind's all over the place, by the way, in case you can't tell. So going back to the original story, so I decided I'm going to write a book, and again, got a bunch of no's. I've had 2 published books, got a bunch of no's, and called Roman and Littlefield, and they own a bunch of the corporate, real large publisher. And they said, yeah, as a matter of fact, would you be interested in doing an entire series? And I'm like, yeah. And so they were like, we want to do this Train Like a Pro series, and we're going to do a series of books. And so can you write 3 books and so we can have them published by July? I'm like, that's less than a year.
Wow.
And yeah. I'm like, sure, I can do that. So I'm all excited about it. Like, I just got this contract, great.
Yeah.
And then I sit down, I'm like, ooh,
how do I do this?
And so got it done. And so those 3 books are Strength and Conditioning for Mixed Martial Arts, which focuses just on strength and conditioning for mixed martial arts, not on technique.
Okay.
It talks about the importance of technique, and you can't supplement technique with strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
That's one of the conversations I have with a lot of people, is that it's the same thing with any sport. Baseball players are hitting more home runs now because they are bigger and stronger and have more power. But they have to focus on the technique first. Without the technique, the other doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The same thing with mixed martial arts. The technique is key. It is key. Strength and conditioning helps enforce the technique.
Yeah, I actually, and you're trying to convince younger kids, about that whole concept. I can actually do more damage by just going strength and conditioning and not spending time on technique.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Technique is key.
Yeah.
And not only does it improve your performance, but also proper technique decreases the risk of injury.
Right.
and you can't overlook that. There's a guy that was talking about strength. You shouldn't do strength conditioning for mixed martial arts. It's only technique. And then people argue, no, it's strength conditioning, and I'm kind of like, guys, it's both.
Right.
It's like the technique. He's right, and technique is key. Right. However, if you want to optimize your game, you got to increase your strength conditioning.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So you did the mountain bike.
Yeah. So the other book is Train for Mountain Biking, which does have mountain biking skills in it, as well as maintenance and conditioning for mountain biking as well.
Okay.
And also for obstacle course racing. So the third book is obstacle course racing, and those have technique as well as conditioning. The mixed martial arts book, if we started adding technique, would be a very large book, and so we focus on strength conditioning to add to your technique training, and how to add it to your technique training for that one.
All right.
And then they're coming out in July, and then we're going into second editions of my cycling and triathlon book and adding a running book, and then we'll just keep rotating it and adding to it.
Good deal, man. So you are busy on many different fronts. So we're going to wrap things up here, but any closing words of advice or challenges that you would like to put out there to our strong dads that are listening?
Honestly, just an overall, just count your blessings. Seriously, count your blessings. Take a look at where you could improve. Take an honest look at where you can improve. Your kids are going to be gone before you know.
Mm-hmm.
My Grayson is learner's permit.
Yep.
I'm teaching him how to drive now. I've only got 3 more years, and he's in college.
Yep.
And so our kids range from we have a 10-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 15-year-old. And so before long, the kids are going to be gone. And so back to the question that you asked is realize you've got minimum time to have positive impact on your children. And there's going to be a time where you will no longer influence them.
Yep.
And if you haven't influenced them now, you can't influence them later.
Yep.
And what I'm talking about isn't a selfish. It's that my job is to guide my children so they can make good decisions, so they can be self-sufficient, so that they can follow God's path, not me using it for them. Yeah. And if I don't lay that foundation, if you don't lay that foundation, there's no telling where their path's going to go. There are kids who had the worst fathers ever that have blazed amazing trails.
Yep.
All right. But there's less without guidance that do blaze those amazing trails. Whereas take if you look at the children who have had strong parent figures, strong father figures, then with a strong presence of a mother and a father, and the more of those individuals blaze those trails.
Yeah.
And you have exceptions on both sides.
Yeah, but the evidence is so strongly supporting that it's not even a good argument to think the other way. We need mom and dad together. Yeah, I want to just touch on something as we get ready to close up. You said before, I think about my kids leaving, and I just kind of dread that day and that moment. Like all of a sudden they're going to be out of the nest, and I've already been there. Okay. And then I've circled back around with younger kids, but I think to help with that, like, I was so proud of the strength that my older boys had in the confidence of knowing how they were going to do life, that it was just rewarding as a parent. Like, I didn't wonder, are they going to be okay? Oh, I knew they were going to have headaches and problems. I knew that, but I also knew that they were resilient and tough and had faith and all these things. And it was like, you know what? They're ready to fly. And so as a parent, that's actually been the greatest gift, Now, I will tell you, I miss them more now than ever,
Mm-hmm.
more than when they left, because now they're doing their families and they're out your way, out in Virginia. And so I don't get to see them. I don't get to experience them. But the idea that as a dad, that you can sit back and on the day that you're either walking your daughter down the aisle or you're watching your son go off to college and you go, hey, he's ready to kick butt and take names. They're ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is such a reward as a parent, to not wonder if they were prepared.
One of the things that I've noticed is that I find that I miss some of the younger times, and aspects of those younger times. I miss when I come running and they're running like daddy and hugs, but I'm truly enjoying where they're at, and I look forward to seeing them grow into who they're going to be.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting when I've sat and thought about this, is that like, yeah, I do miss those times. I do miss that, but I'm loving right now, and I'm looking forward to who they're going to be.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right.
One more thing I would like to say that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Is that their mother, she moved here to Virginia, and actually is apparently staying sober and visiting the boys twice a week.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is incredible. And I was leery to go down that road because I don't know her whole story and her recovery and healing. But the idea, at the end of the day, I want her and you and everybody healthy, right? Everybody wins in that situation. So to want to be like, oh, I can't even think about her anymore. No, we want to pray for her and we want her healthy. So,
well, and here's the thing. I think, when people do divorce, the biggest mistake they make, it's about them and not about the kids. It's got to be about the kids.
Yeah.
It's the individuals. You guys can deal with your differences outside the kids.
Yeah.
When the kids, like with Eric, Renee, my wife's ex, he stays a night here. He'll come and visit, and he'll stay here for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And so they put aside their differences. I'm okay with it, because it's about the kids. It's not about. I used to be more uncomfortable with him being here.
Right.
Now it is just, he's like extended family.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it can't be about him and her or me and him. It's got to be about the kids.
Yeah. Boy, you talk about a coachable opportunity there for yourself, right? To be humbled, to let that man walk in your house.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can quite be. I would have to struggle with that.
And I would think the same way in the past.
Right.
Until I've experienced it, and it was a little bit of a struggle at the beginning, because he's here with the kids. I'm at work. Renee's here, and it takes a strong family to work that way. And my wife is an amazing woman. She's a strong woman, and she understands the importance of that, and I understand the importance of it. And so, no, I was with you. Like, if somebody would have told me this story before I lived this story, I'd been like, oh no.
Yeah. Does he know that you do MMA?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the first time he wanted to meet me because I was hanging around his kids, and I respected that.
Absolutely.
And so and so our first meeting, because Renee had to work, he was coming to the house, and it was just me and him. And so he texted and was over. He's kind of like, yeah, met Will. Everything went fine. I beat him in arm wrestling.
Oh.
Being sarcastic.
Right.
And so and so his only concern is that I'm good to his kids.
Right. Yeah. Good deal.
And he did get, and I understand this. He struggled with a little bit because they call me dad, and my kids call her mom.
Mm-hmm.
And he struggled with that a little bit in the beginning, because he wasn't happy they were calling me dad. But then he realized that was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And he's cool with it because I'm just an extra dad. I'm not taking his place.
Right. No.
No, I'm an extra dad.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting dynamic, but it works.
It does. Yeah.
Because we make it work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. Well, I want to thank you for your time. I think just a lot of insight here and a lot of good conversation about just how it's not a clean cookie cutter approach to how we do parenting and being a father and all these different things. And it's a walk, but it's a walk that, you talk about the faith component, and just appreciate you spreading that. Wishing you the best with these books. I will definitely get my hands on them. I've never actually done MMA. I'm too old. I don't know that I want to start. I've had too many surgeries.
Let's go, bro. You and me. Let's go. Let's.
You are one guy. I would go after you.
We're gonna do a live show, a Strong Dad show. We're gonna be in MMA. We're gonna be in the octagon, and I'm gonna be.
I got an octagon here.
Really?
Yeah. You guys just got to come down. Check us out. So I train at the Edge, and they have black belts directly under Hoist Gracie. So I train and coach at the Edge.
Okay.
And you guys have black belts directly under Hoist Gracie.
Okay.
So while I have belts in multiple disciplines, I've actually got my blue belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu from Hoist Gracie.
Wow.
Last week.
That's crazy.
That's cool.
So I've been blessed with amazing opportunity to train with some really, really talented individuals.
Yeah.
So being that Merle's got a bunch of knee replacements, I kick him in the knee first. Is that the first place you go to? Is that's like MMA 101, right? You find a weakness and you just exploit it.
Well, here's the problem. That's metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to hurt both.
You can kick that knee as hard as you want.
Just right for a shield, and you're just catching metal.
Yeah.
That might be on you.
Yeah. You have an artificial foot when you're done.
Jiu-jitsu is for all ages.
Yeah.
So jiu-jitsu is something you actually could do all the way up forever, because if you do it correctly and work on technique and don't go in there and just try to muscle everything. Yeah. You can work late into life.
Yeah, my concern is I've had multiple neck surgeries and I'm fused from C4 to C7. I'm afraid to do anything wrapping around the neck too hard.
That would be a problem.
Yeah.
That's a weakness. I got it.
I know.
There you go. Now you know. Open the neck. Hey,
we need to wrap this up. Kyle, sign us out of here.
Heck yeah. Hey, Will, I appreciate your transparency, man, sharing your story. I know some of that stuff's not easy to share, so really do appreciate you. Casey Outdoor Solutions, Kramer Beer House, thanks so much for coming alongside of us. Really do appreciate you. Merle, look forward to our next show, I guess. Maybe we'll be in person and give you the people's elbow.
Yeah.
So.
You're gonna need
Will,
it.
thanks so much again, man. Really do appreciate it. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
I'd like to welcome Casey's Outdoor Solutions as a new sponsor to our podcast. Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home. Let's go start a business. Like maybe we
could do an IT business. I'm really good at that, Merle.
Oh, you're great at IT work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that'll last about a day. So yeah.